My name is Funmi Iyanda, Miss Funmi Iyanda. Miss, always Miss. So I'm a film and television producer. Run two media companies, one in Lagos and the other one in London. And I write and I act as creative director for a lot of, things, the whole spectrum from politics to fashion. How long do we have? How long do we? Well, I suppose that, I don't separate one thing from the other. I think a journey of life is a journey of work, and so the journey has been for me fulfilling. There are times when it's very frustrating, but then that's also life. So unless we go into chunks and bits and pieces of time, it's hard to go through the whole gamut from the 90s when I started till now. You mean what challenges did I not encounter when I first started? Well, I started in the 90s, as I said, and Nigeria in the 90s is very much different from Nigeria of today. It was still the military dictatorship, and media was not maybe the wisest thing to go into at that time because, a lot of the media organizations were proscribed. It was a very dark time in the country at the time, but also it was a good time to cut your teeth in journalism because then you learn to do all kinds of usual things. Also, technology was not where it is today. So basically, we had to learn to do many, many, many things. So I started from back end, as a writer, as an assistant director, first just the back end. The front end came only as an accident because the presenter didn't show up, basically. So, I think that's also helped me because it meant that I had to develop a lot of skills and competencies to be able to do what I did. I don't view myself first and foremost as a woman. I view myself first and foremost as a human being. And sometimes I'm surprised when people come at me with gender. Why that is important is because I myself don't set myself up for failure. So people who see me first and foremost as a woman and they have their own preconceived notions of what a woman should be, that's not my problem. That's their problem. So that has helped me in a way in dealing with many, many things through life. I don't automatically assume that you are coming against me because I'm female, but maybe because, you are challenged by what I'm doing, and that's, for me, I think is important because if we're not careful, then women are always positioned in a way where they're explaining their difficulties instead of explaining their triumphs. Do you know what I mean? So oftentimes I'm asked the question, it's always about what difficulties have I faced? Why is nobody asking me about my triumphs and my wins? Because they don't want to focus on my triumphs and my wins. Because then that time they have to deal with the fact that I win a lot. I win a lot more than I feel. It's very hard to describe every other woman who is making a name for herself in the industry because I also try not to speak for other people. I speak from reality. Even though I like concepts and I create concepts, but I don't let concepts get in the way of reality. So I cannot speak for all the women in the industry. What I would say generally about women is that women do a lot more than they are given credit for. And for women, really, it's less about being able to do things. It's more about being given credit for what they do already and value and paid appropriately, for what they do across board. So I would say for me, in terms of describing my journey in the creative industry, because as I said, I don't see myself as being, I think life is about creating. So I straddle all sorts of industry. I don't think there's anything I can't do if I set my mind to it. If I wanted to be fly a plane tomorrow, I will learn it. It will take me years to become excellent at it, but I will learn it. So that's my attitude towards things. One is that I truly, really believe that I like beauty. And when I say beauty, I don't mean beauty of appearance. I mean in form. I like things to be done well. So that means I like to apply myself rigorously to anything I do. That means I like to learn, the rules of what I do so I can disrupt it. Do you know what I mean? And so that's what I would say in the first instance is that I would say that I'm painstaking. I like to really I like to do things well. I would say that I am I mean, it's hard to describe yourself. Other people should tell you what you are. But then, off the top of my head, I'll also say that I am a champion of talent. I'm biased towards talent, and I'm really biased. People always tell you that Funmi doesn't have enemies, because even a person that I don't automatically do consider anyone an enemy. I think that everyone is different, or everybody's doing their thing. However, even if a person has done me bad, as they say, or done something that's not favorable to me, if that person did something awesome with it, I'm the kind of person that would say, wow, that person did me bad, but look at what they did with it. It's awesome. Because I think that the more we apply ourselves as human beings, the more we move humanity forward. So anything that you can do to the scale, to the utmost scale that we can do it, I find it fascinating. So I would say, as the second thing, talent across board, wherever it comes from, I'm a champion of it. And finally, I'm curious. I'm endlessly curious. I like to find out things. I'm like a cat. I want to see what's going on there. Where is it going? And I'm fearless because I'm like a cat. But why? Take a job in banking. But I'm just fooling around, I mean, my advice for any woman who wants to, is that pay attention to where the world is going, especially what tech is doing. But then don't make it, the crux of everything, because the basic principles always remain the same. They are unchanging. They've always been, they always will be. However, the ways, the tools, the expressions, the platforms change. And it's important to keep an eye out on where that's going. Especially because one is a woman, you do have to work sometimes harder to prove your worth. So what you have been able to do, the average man will do it and everybody will say, oh yeah, it's great. But the woman will still have to work a little harder. So because of that, it's very important to be very good, very skilled at what you do. As much as possible, pay attention to the things that are not as subjective. Things that are more objective, that is just hard facts. You can't argue with, we've seen that people can argue with anything. They can argue with stark facts, but then it's harder in that regard. So the technical skills, the technical people, those kind of things that make your work, that takes the work from this to that. Pay attention to that.
An actor, you're in a vulnerable position. As far as I'm concerned, you're like one of the most vulnerable people on the set, because you have to shed yourself, put yourself in the hands of the producers, the directors, the lighting, the makeup, everybody, the editors at the end of the day, and trust that whatever performance you give, especially as a film or television actor, and just trust that the end result will sort of come together.